Hello everyone and welcome to round 11 of the Tata Steel Chess Tournament in Vikensee, the Netherlands. In this video we'll have a look at the game between Jordan van Foreest and Anish Giri. Now before this round Anish was in second place, just half a point behind Magnus, so maybe Anish would try to win this game to try to close the gap, but Jordan with the white pieces, he always goes for it, so it was expected that this game was gonna be very sharp. Anyway, Jordan opens the game up with the move 1d4, a bit of a surprise. Usually Jordan always plays e4, but in this game he chooses to go for the Nimzo, and he plays the move a3. This is called the same variation, which allows black to trade on c3. So here white has a double pawns, but after f3 now he's going to build up a big center here. So Anish played knight c6, e4, knight e5. And Jordan goes bishop d3, bishop a6, and queen e2 to guard everything. Now, as I was doing commentary with Hikaru thought that the main move here was c5, as he remembered from his analysis a couple of years ago. But Anish chose the move d6. And actually, after Jordan's next move, the move f4, which builds a huge center, it's already not so easy for black. Maybe Anish should have played something like knight b3 to at least get rid of white's bishop pair. But he chose to move queen to d7, and now Jordan plays a very good move. He plays knight to f3, so after queen a4 he has knight d2. And he's just in time to guard this pawn on c4. Anish goes e5, Jordan castles, and here Anish castles as well. A bit of a surprising decision, because after the trade f takes c5, d takes c5, Jordan could now have sacrificed his rook on f6. But instead he played the move rook b1, improving this rook first. And now after c5, boom! He sacked on f6, pawn takes f6. And here, so black is up in exchange, but look at the pieces over here on the queen side. They're very far away from the king, so things are clearly gonna become very dangerous for black. Jordan played queen f3, hitting the pawn. So Anish brought the queen back to c6 to guard. Alright, so Jordan played d5, queen d6, and now a very nice maneuver, he played knight f1. So now he wants to maneuver his knight to e3 or to g3, to be able to hop to f5 or h5 and once again continue the attack on the black king. So king h8 was played, knight to e3, bishop c8, and now bishop to d2. He's also bringing in his other pieces. So Anish goes rook to g8, bishop e1, and rook to g6 to be able to guard the f6 pawn with the rook. Alright, so Jordan goes bishop h4, trying to put a lot of pressure on this pawn over here, rook h6, and queen f2. Now, of course, he doesn't want to move away this bishop from the attack on f6 pawn. And you also don't want to play a move like g3, because then black could sacrifice in some cases. So queen f2 by Jordan, nice move, keeping all the pressure. Anish goes rook, bishop d7, rook f1, and now king g7 to guard. But notice that this rook on h6 is a bit stuck over here. And here Jordan found a very nice plan. He played bishop to e2. Sometimes backwards is the way to go forward. So with this with this move, his idea is to go bishop g4, trade of these bishops, and then hit the rook, and then hit the pawn on f6. So Anish played rook to g6 to stop that. Now here Jordan could have played bishop h5 to attack the rook, but Anish probably would have answered with rook to f8. So in case white takes now black can take with the pawn, and this is guarded, and all of a sudden black's actually better. Because c4 is now kind of weak, there's no attack anymore, and yeah, black's just better. So instead of that, Jordan played h3. Once again, his idea is to go bishop g4, force a trade. I mean, either take with a knight or with a pawn, and then go knight f5, or if he takes with a knight, put a lot of pressure on the pawn on f6. But here, Anish made a bit of a weird mistake. He took on h3. So with this move, he's stopping bishop g4, but now he allows bishop h5. Because if you go rook f8 now, after takes, f6 is protected, but guess what? Your bishop on h3 is hanging. And white's just winning, because he's up a piece. So Anish had to drop back to d7. But now Jordan took on g6, pawn takes, and bishop takes f6, checking the king. Okay, the king had to step back, and queen h4. He's bringing in more pieces towards the enemy king. He wants to go queen g5, hit this. Knight f5 is also jumping in. So Anish played rook to f8, rook f3 by Jordan, rook f7. But after queen g5, Anish was simply unable to defend this pawn. So he played queen f5, but Jordan just took the pawn. Knight b7, and now Jordan played queen f4. Now he's ready to push these pawns up the board. e5, e6 is a massive threat. So Anish played knight d6, e5, and knight e8. So at least he's stopping e6, because that would hang the bishop. But Jordan came up with another nice maneuver. He played d6, with the idea being of going knight d5 and knight e7. Now you could play bishop e6, but after knight d5, look at this pawn center here. So Anish wanted none of that. He traded on f6, Jordan recaptured, and he played queen e8. But Jordan still went knight d5, queen e1 is just one check, king h2, queen e1 by Anish, and Jordan gave a check on e7. Now if you go king f8, white is a very nice knight takes g6, pawn takes queen h6. If you go king over, check here and check, and you lose the rook and you get checkmated. And if you go back to g6, white's going to take here, and after king f8, white's going to give a check, king g8 and rook g3, and wins that way. So all of that was not possible. So instead of that, Anish played king to h8, and now Jordan found a very nice finishing touch. He played rook to h3. Now what happens if you take that rook? He would have played d7. Alright, now aren't you just hanging a pawn? No, because suddenly there's queen b8. And black's getting checkmated because this square is guarded by the pawn, and whatever you block with will be taken. So queen c8, you take with the knight, and rook f8 is also taken, and black just gets checkmated. So after the move rook h3, Anish just threw in the towel because you cannot stop knight takes g6. If you play something like queen c2, there's just rook to h6. Once again, you're gonna lose this pawn and you will simply be blown off the board. So an amazing game by Jordan van Foreest, ruining Anish's tournament for another year in a row. But yeah, that's just life. And yeah, Anish loses with this loss. Anish loses all his chances for first place, but an amazing victory for Jordan, which puts him back on 50%. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.